mammography screening? Why would a country abolish mammography screening if what most people think, it saves lives? If it saved lives, why would they do away with it? So let's talk further into this. I already went through the British Medical Journal that showed the World Health Organization's vital statistics or mortality statistics across the entire globe, looking at countries like Sweden and other places, Norway, looking at them and what they see. As screening went up, nothing happened to breast cancer mortality. It never went down. If screening goes up and deaths from breast cancer never go down, guess what? It means that screening doesn't work. It doesn't extend lives. It doesn't prevent women from dying of cancer. So let's talk in depth about this some more. What I want to do is I want to show you where I'm getting these statistics from. So where I get my statistics are from the horse's mouth. All right, not calling very specifically a horse, but you get what I'm saying. You know, that old adage saying my grandpa taught me. Here we go. All right, so this comes to you from, swing up the tap, National Cancer Institute, crunching the numbers. What cancer screening statistics really tell us? What do they really tell us? We need to be able to understand the statistics, because you will hear time and time again, how about how Susan G. Komen oversold the benefits of mammography? There are no benefits. And I know that can be very upsetting to somebody out there watching this right now or in the future. And especially women that have believed that their screening picked up their cancer, and because they found it early, they're still alive today, able to watch this. I know it could literally be very frustrating, make you angry that somebody like myself could possibly come forward and start speaking out against mammography screening when you believe so much in it. But it's vitally important for every single person to understand the statistics so well that we stop a harmful, in fact, the National Cancer Institute states that out of 10,000 women, we're going to cause about 10 women to develop cancer because of mammography screening. Folks, we need to understand, we need to stop using a screening test that doesn't save lives, that actually causes more women to die from cancer. So let's talk about the statistics here. Again, National Cancer Institute's own website. Let's look at the graphs, or let's look at the breakdown and how they describe these statistics. So the problem with, and we'll take some specifics from this, the problem with, and note, folks, if you're blindsided by me saying that screening, mammography screening, doesn't save lives, well, you're not the only one. Put this in perspective in this National Cancer Institute's article. There was a questionnaire, an online study, questionnaire sent out to 412 doctors specializing in family medicine, internal medicine, and general medicine. They were given in terms of 5-year survival and in terms of mortality reduction. They're given two different scenarios evaluating the quote-unquote effectiveness of mammography screening in terms of 5-year survival or in terms of mortality. And it says the results of this study on just seeing how critical our medical doctors, or how capable our medical doctors are at actually reading and understanding statistics on breast cancer mortality and mammography. It said that 76% of those surveyed believed incorrectly that an improvement in 5-year survival shows that mammography or the test saves lives. They believed it. 76% were wrong. That's less than 25, less than a quarter of the doctors across the United States, at least those pooled in this online survey, didn't understand mammography doesn't save lives. It doesn't. And again, I understand that it can be very upsetting to hear this information, especially if somebody's been detected. So what I want to do is I want to encourage you, if you're one of those women or you're one of those family members that has a loved one that's been diagnosed with cancer in the past through mammography screening, underwent the typical standard treatment processes of chemotherapy, surgery, radiation, if they underwent that and that alone, they didn't change anything else, guess what? Their lives are not going to be extended. They're not. We need to understand that those treatment procedures do not extend lives. They don't reverse or arrest or stop or remove the cause of cancer. Thus, they said in this that early detection which would initiate more treatment and more women going to the standard treatments, it doesn't change the disease process. It doesn't change the route the disease process is going to take, because we must get to the root cause, not treat symptoms, not cut out a tumor. So here we go. Let's look at how mammography screening is so biased and how it makes so many people, including 76% of medical physicians, think that mammography saves lives. Let's take a look. Two scenarios. Here are the two scenarios that we need to understand. Here are the two scenarios we need to understand to be able to see that mammography doesn't save lives. Watch this. So there's a lead time bias. That's what it's considered. Lead time bias, meaning when lead time is before that would have been detected if the person wasn't screened. So lead time. So without screening, a woman would find out the cancer starts developing here. It's developing. It could take 10, 20, 30 years. And then they find it here because symptoms. The symptoms. The woman felt it. She's like, oh my gosh, I have a lump. Something's wrong with my breast. She goes in. They diagnose her at that age right there. And we're going to say that in this analogy, they say 67 years of age. They detect that through maybe self-exam or other exam. Symptoms said, I have cancer. They go in, they diagnose the woman with cancer at 67 years of age. But sadly, despite our ineffective treatments, sadly, she's dead and gone in 3 years. Now, we need to implement the proper treatments. The treatments that not only will, I never want early detection for my wife. I don't think anybody wants to have early detection. They want to never have detection. What that means is, I never want my wife to have to be detected or diagnosed with cancer. I want to know the things that I can do and that she can do, and I guarantee she wants to know the things she can do. Thank God she's married to me, right? She wants to know the things that she can do to never get a cancer diagnosis. Never have a test come positive. Am I saying never do any type of testing? Well, if you're not going to change and do the right things, testing doesn't matter. But if you're going to do the right things, maybe you're doing and living the wrong lifestyle now, and you want to do the right things if you know you need to because you have cancer, now a test could actually initiate a change in lifestyle and addressing the underlying cause, thus extending your life. So I'm not against testing. I just don't want to test that causes cancer. So here we go again. Okay, so cancer develops, detected by symptoms at 67 years of age. At 70, the woman's still dead because of ineffective treatments. Now with screening, cancer would start developing the same time, same woman start developing, but because of mammography screening, we would detect it early. At 60 years of age. 5-year survival, even if this was 100 women in this scenario up here without screening, cancer develops 67 years of age. All 100 women get detected or get diagnosed with breast cancer at 67 years old. 5-year survival, because they only made it to age 70, is 0%. 0% 5-year survival. And see, this is what Susan G. Komen and all these other people out there promoting mammography, they always use 5-year survival to say that cancer screening saves lives. Screening only extends 5-year survival because you diagnosed women at 60 years of age because of quote-unquote early detection. Early detection would define it at 60 years of age, but guess what? Because of our ineffective treatments, not addressing the underlying cause. Folks, if you're watching this right now and it's live today, you've got next Tuesday where I go through more than probably an hour worth of massive information, research like this, research the public needs to be aware of, the women need to be aware of if they've ever been diagnosed with cancer. If they've ever been treated standard with the standard treatments, they need to hear this information, this message. Because if we can get them to start doing what is necessary, not these ineffective treatments, because ineffective treatments, this is what it gets you. Whether you detect it late or early, you're still dead at 70 years of age. But it does, if all 100 women here were then screened instead, they detected it at 60 years of age, they go through chemotherapy, radiation, surgery, go through years and years of suffering, they still die at 70 years of age because of ineffective treatments, not addressing the underlying cause. That's why. And this is exactly why. This scenario is exactly why mammography screenings aren't saving lives. They're only biasing and fooling doctors into believing that 5-year survival somehow means we're saving lives. We're not. Let me go through some of the other highlights in this. So Dr. Donald Berry, a professor of biostatistics at University MD Anderson Cancer Center, he is saying the same thing I am. He said, quote, I had a brilliant oncologist say to me, Don, you have to understand 20 years ago, before mammography screening, I'd see a patient with breast cancer and 5 years later she was dead. Before screening, they detected at 67, she's dead at 70. Before 5 years, she's dead. So this oncologist believes it works. He goes on, he says, now I see breast cancer patients. 15 years later, they're still coming back. They haven't recurred. It's obvious that screening has done wonders. He recounted, and I had to say no. So this MD Anderson Cancer Center professor of biostatistics says, no, you're not right. It is not saving lives. That biases could completely explain the differences between the two groups of patients. I hope you all understand that. Let me go through some more of the important things. I hope you take the time to read the entire article and understand this information. It said that half the medical physicians erroneously thought that simply finding more cases of cancer in a group of people who underwent screening compared with unscreened group showed that the test saved lives. They improperly thought that this scenario meant they were saving lives. Doctors were 3 times more likely to say they would recommend the test supported by irrelevant survival data than the test supported by relevant mortality. They were 3 times more likely to basically pass on a lie than actually be able to understand the research and do what's best for their patients and say, don't get a mammogram. Don't go get your breast radiated because radiation causes cancer, and currently we're not equipped in the medical community to be able to give a proper treatment that would extend the lives. But I'll go through some very simple at-home treatments that people can do, lifestyle changes that have been scientifically proven to the 100% fact extend the lives of both cancer patients, heart disease patients, diabetics. So if you're watching in the future and it's after the live event, make sure you go back and watch that video and watch the rest of the videos in this series. Other important statements in it. In some ways, Dr. Schwartz, in some ways these results weren't surprising because I don't think these statistics are part of the standard medical school curriculum. Many people think their doctor knows what's best. They understand all the science. They wouldn't call themselves oncologists and experts, cancer experts, if they didn't understand it. But he's saying they're not even taught about this stuff. We should be teaching residents and medical students how to correctly interpret these statistics and how to see through exaggeration. It's not exaggeration, it's blatant lies. Folks, to continue to say that mammography screening saved lives is a lie. Multiple studies have proven this over and over again. This is why you're seeing countries like Switzerland completely abolish mammography screening. And why am I getting upset about this? Because the result of those lies of fooling women into believing that radiation of their breast tissue to see a picture will extend or save their life. That lie leads them to develop more cancers, develop more disease, undergo treatments that are not effective, ultimately robbing them of money and insurance money. It doesn't matter who paid for it. It's a rob. It's stealing from them, taking resources, financial resources that could be used in implementing the things that could actually prevent cancer in the first place, or safer detection methods that could implement strategies that could reverse the cancer or get the body healing again. That's the key again. So again, same article, look at this. Without screening, 1,000 people with progressive cancer, 5 years later, 400 alive, 600 dead. That's a 40% survival rate. Now, with screening, you would detect far more cancers. They're estimating up to 50% of women who are being screened and have detected cancers on their mammogram are being treated improperly with zero benefit. Meaning that 50% of women being diagnosed with cancer could be walking around right now promoting mammography screening, believing that the screen helped them detect it early, thus allowing them to treat it better and quicker and save and extend their life, when actually that's not what's happening. That in fact, many women will go into spontaneous remission and heal themselves. Up to 30% of women will go into complete spontaneous remission and heal on their own with zero intervention. 2,000 people with non-progressive cancers would be detected. 1,000 people with progressive cancers. So 3,000 people, 2,000 more women would be diagnosed with cancer if we screen. But the problem is the same 1,000 that would have been here are now here are still dead. The 600 are dead, the 400 alive, 2,000 are alive because they had harmless cancers in essence. I know that's hard to think about. A cancer can be an indication that your body's not at the state in which it can heal and function properly, thus disease develops in your body. Now, it doesn't mean that cancer is going to take your life, though. You could live with a cancerous tumor in your breast tissue and never be harmed from that specifically. But you might die of heart disease, you might die of diabetes, you might develop Alzheimer's disease, you might die of the cold or the flu or the pneumonia, because your body would have to be weak to be able to allow for a tumor to develop, whether it's progressive or not. Folks, do you get this? I hope and pray everybody does. 2,000 were treated improperly, 400 are alive, same as here, without screening, but 600 are dead, 600 are dead. There is no benefit of mammography, period. Folks, we need to understand this, and we need more women to understand this. We need the world to understand this, because then we can stop wasting our time and money on mammography screenings, and we can shift it over to the screening and the detection methods that don't cause cancer, and then we can implement the treatment strategies that are proven to extend the lives of patients. Because poison, burning somebody with radiation, and cutting things out of their body doesn't result in greater health. Folks, it's that stuff that needs to be understood. We need to get it out there. Please share the truth. Don't just like it, because that is the only way we save lives. That is the only way we change the system that right now, number one, is either really, really corrupt or just not smart enough to figure out that we still have more women dying of breast cancer every single year, so therefore what we're doing isn't working. Folks, share the truth. Don't just like it. I'm the Wild Doc.